The people I worked for in the end of the days, you're talking roughly about 8,500 people on this world who run the show. And they are like who I was. Completely afraid, nearly dead, filling up the holes daily, never enough, serving the monster of greed, the monster of more. And there comes Luciferian. And nature was nothing. It was to be destroyed. We were hating everything what represents life, what represents the creator of heaven and earth. Don't take this very light. My turning point was that I was so good in everything I did with my team that I was, in their opinion, ready for the last stage, to be invited and sacrifice of children. That hits me. That was really going through my bunker. I couldn't handle it. It was hitting me like hell.
Adrenochrome.
Adrenochrome?
What does it do? It stops the aging process dead in its tracks and forces it into retreat.
But what is it?
It is an extraction from a piece of skin that came from a young person far, far away, and they somehow figured out how to extract.
It's foreskin from a Korean baby.
I've had stem cells in the blood of a 2-year-old child injected into my skin, and my face still looks like this.
You need to be using fetus blood, Eddie. A little spritz of afterbirth, darling.
Oh, I'm feeling good today, Mikey. Yeah!
One of the things that I learned from whistleblowers from the cabal itself is that they have to work within something they call the rules. And this is very, very important. The rules are a body of spiritual principles that they must follow in order to be allowed to exist. Now, what do I mean by allowed to exist? I mean that they are aware that there are benevolent forces that will prevent them from achieving their goals unless we give them permission to enslave us. Ultimately, the universe is intelligent, alive, and conscious, and it is benevolent. It is a benevolent consciousness. That consciousness does not allow the negative to succeed unless it is invited. So the cabal has made a science, a very elaborate science, out of studying these arcane, occult, magical principles that allow them to get away with what they do. So they have to put out everything that tells you who they are in music videos, in these Super Bowl halftime shows, the Grammy Awards ceremonies. They're out there showing you the truth. This is what people are going to have so much trouble with once disclosure happens, is that these people actually practice black magic, and they are very, very good at it.
But the planet Saturn is very important in world affairs, in theology. In the Islamic belief, the holy city of Mecca, which is in Saudi Arabia, a Masonic circle, and within the Masonic circle is a square, because you got to do everything on the square, remember. You have a town square, you have New York Square, you have a Vatican Square, you have Red Square, you have all kinds of squares. Why? Because this is Masonic. And it goes all the way back into the ancient world, the terms and symbols. That's why priests wear black. That's why judges wear a black robe. Why black robes? Darth Vader wears a black robe. What the hell does a black robe have to do with anything? The judges wear black robes. You know, Supreme Court judges wear black robes. Black robes represent the priesthood of the planet Saturn, the Saturnalian Brotherhood. All you need to do is study Nazism, and you will begin to see that the powers behind the Nazi Party, the Thule Society, the Germanian Order, were all members of something called the Saturnalian Brotherhood, the Brotherhood of Saturn. Saturn was the god of darkness, chaos, and destruction. He teaches you a lesson.
What we are dealing with here is high-level witchcraft, sorcery, ritualistic and sacrificial practices. It shows itself in form of sex magic and the consumption of blood, right? That's why our children go missing on a daily basis. That's why there is a huge market for child sex trafficking, because they use this stuff in ritualistic practices, Satanism, if you will, because they have to conjure up demons by this ritualistic practices, whether they do it through perverse sexual ritual magic type thing, or they do it by just sacrificing the innocent, the blood of the innocent, to conjure up these demons that they imbue them with power on the left hand energy, right? So all this kind of practices, this ritualistic practices, it goes way back. It's been happening for a very long time, and the powers that shouldn't be are resurfacing these practices and doing it all over again, right? Doing it all over again. And you have to pay close attention. And to them, they have to, through revelation method, they have to let you in on what it is they are doing. Just like the new TV series that just came out, Welcome to Derry, right? And the whole thing about that is how Pennywise preys on the children he has. Before he can consume them, he'll scare the bejeebers out of them, right? That is why they are most potent. So when he consumes them, he will get the juices out of them, right? That's that high, that's that adrenal and Google Chrome, if you know what I mean, right? Before we go any further, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Chahagudash. Double honors to apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us this truth and continue to teach us this truth. Peace, salutation, shalom, shalom, shalom to all your brothers and sisters out there that are of the household of faith, beginning with 144,000 down to the men, women, and children that are allotted to be delivered in these latter days, who are all of the elect. To the brothers that are pushing this gospel in all sincerity and in all honesty, to you all I say shalom, right? Shalom to you all. And we are really being put in this type of scenarios where we have to witness a lot of occultic practices. Your mind might not really be privy to it. You might not really understand what it is you're seeing, you're looking at. But that is what exactly it is happening right in front of your face. They do it in the Super Bowl commercials. They do it in the Olympics. They do it in all kinds of ways. They do it in the movies. They do it in the music videos, right? Because this is part of that ritualistic practices. So you not saying anything, you become a willing participant unbeknownst to you. You don't understand what it is, but to them, we told you, right? That's how they look at it. We told you what it is we're all about. So now your ignorance and your silence is taken as consent, is taken as you are okay with it. You understand? That's the level of evil that goes on a daily basis in the world, right? So you are being put in some occultic practices, something like going to a concert to watch your favorite singer, pop singer, whoever, perform. Right then and there, they put you in an occultic, ritualistic practice. When they have you throwing up hand signs, they have you chanting words, they have you swaying left to right and things like that. Even some of all this TikTok dance challenges and things like this, right? It all goes back to ritualistic practices. So the regular everyday people out there, they look at these things and they just consume it without really understanding what it is that it is involved in it, right? And then you go to the real crazy ones about it, which is now the sacrificial practices where they have to sacrifice human beings, where they have to sacrifice little ones, children, right? This is happening. That's why children come up missing on a large scale and nothing is being done about it, right? Because this is part of that ritualistic, satanic practices that they have to do, you know? As violent as it is, we have to talk about these things because it is happening right in front of your face. Excuse me. And you cannot just ignore it away, because the powers that shouldn't be, they take all this stuff seriously. It means a lot to them, right? They are heavily steeped in the occultic practice. You know, they show you all these things, right? It's all right in front of your face. They're heavily into all of this. They love it. This is how they get around. And they always have to let you know, this is who we are. They put it in your dollar bill. They put it in your money. They put it in your favorite shows. They put it in everything to let you know that this is who we are. This is what we're about. Right? And now it is for you now to decide, are you going to keep consuming this stuff? Are you going to keep supporting these guys? Are you going to keep being blinded to it? Right? So this ritualistic practices, it goes way back. I'm talking from a long time ago, and it resurfaces itself through the wicked elites that have put these practices in place to get energy from the left-hand side, right? To harness some wicked, evil power, right? To do all kinds of evil things that they got to do and to get something out of it, right? So we read here in the book of Wisdom of Solomon, it breaks down how all these things happen, right? How they really get into this sacrificial practices and all of that craziness. So this is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 12th chapter. We start from the 3rd verse. It says, For it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers, but those of the inhabitants of the Holy Land. So before the Israelites took over the Holy Land, Israel, there used to be heathens living in there. And what they were doing is exactly what is being done in this present evil temporal world we're living in right now. Right? This is exactly what was being done back then, and that practices is going on now. And what happened? Well, like it says here, by the will of our fathers. So you have Joshua, Caleb, men like that from the old days, right? They went in with armies and warriors to destroy all the heathens out of the land and all their ritualistic practices. Guess what? Same thing is about to happen in Babylon, the new Babylon, which is America, and the ritualistic practices that goes on in America. See, America, for all the bloodshed, the innocent bloodshed that have done, guess what? America will be destroyed, whether you believe it or not. You see, like it goes here to say, for it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those of old inhabitants of the Holy Land, whom thou hatest, meaning hate. Why? For doing most odious works of witchcrafts and wicked practices, sacrifices. You see that? So this is what they're doing, what they were doing back then, and this is exactly what they're doing right now. The odious works of witchcrafts. So all these freak-off parties is not just to have a freak-off party. Nah, it is deeply rooted in witchcraft, in Satanism, in ritualistic occultic practices. That's where you get the sex magic from, right? And wicked sacrifices. So your children, our children, missing on a daily basis, this is what it's all about. Even your celebrities, they'll be the first one to tell you that they've sacrificed people for all of this, to get the fame, the money, the lifestyle that they're living, the Porsche lifestyle that they're living. They have to make a lot of sacrifices. That is, that wicked sacrifices. See? Like the old saying, there's no new thing under the sun. So it was being done back then, it is being done now. So and also, those merciless murderers of children. See that? And also those merciless murderers of children. I have to read that again so you understand the child trafficking that is happening, children coming up missing, and you have instances where people come out and expose these things. That's what I put the clip there too. One of the guys, he said he was part of the whole occultic ways, and then it came down to he has to sacrifice children. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. That's where he had to draw the line in the sand, that he just couldn't do that, right? So that's what it's all about. They have to murder these children and cannibalize them and drink their blood. So the whole idea behind vampires, they don't necessarily have fangs that they sink into your neck and drink your blood. But guess what? That whole idea about drinking the blood, it is real, very real. And what does a vampire do? Well, a vampire has to scare you first and show you the fangs, and then you like, what the fuck is this, right? You start to, your adrenaline starts pumping. That's their fear. They love it when you are in that state. So you can imagine the fear a child gets in that type of state, because it is the purest. If you watch the movie Dr. Blood, right? Dr. Sleep. The movie Dr. Sleep by the same guy that is behind Welcome to Derry and Stephen King. You can imagine how crazy that guy is, right? But he's the same guy that did that Dr. Sleep, which goes back to that old movie back then. What was it? With Jack Nicholson. I can't think of the name right now. Here's Johnny, right? So that is what it's all about. The murderers of children, all the sacrificial practices. First, they have to scare the living hell out of them, and then they proceed to consume them. Like he goes on to say, and devourers of men's flesh. We just saw Katy Perry in this clip here. She was standing before men's flesh. Let's get that right here. What is that? That's her feet. Someone's legs. It's human meat. Right? They have that party that all the celebrities go to where they pretend to eat humans, right? Well, that is the one they show you behind closed doors. They actually do that. Eat the pain. Marina Abramovic, I believe that's what she's called. She's all into that. You see? So that's exactly what the Bible, the scriptures, is explaining to you. It's describing these practices to you, what they do. This is not far-fetched. This is not science fiction. This is not some fairy tale. It's happening. It's been happening. It's always been happening, right? So the Bible is describing these things to you, like it says here. And also, those merciless murderers of children and devourers of men's flesh and the feast of blood. You catch that? That's the adrenochrome right there. That's that adrenal. The vampires roaming around looking for who to suck on. So when you see these things happening, be it the sexual magic that they do, sexual immorality that they do with the occultic practices to them, and the sacrificial aspect of it, guess what? It all goes back to witchcraft. It all goes back to sorcery. That's what it all goes back to. This is not just some crazy guys just eating people. Nah. This is works of witchcrafts, wicked sacrifices. He goes on to say, with their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew. And have the clip too that I put together with what is his name? Damn, I can't think of his name right now. And he's explaining the cube of Saturn and the whole priesthood of the Saturnalia and things like that, right? So now you get the idea. These things are very real, and the scriptures warned about that. It's been happening for a very long time. For a very long time, these things have been happening right in front of our faces, and before even our present day right now. It's just manifesting itself in these latter days in all kinds of vile ways, right? Nobody is safe from these guys. They can't wait to consume, and it's gotten to the point where they put it all in your face. They just had that I believe it was KFC ad. They showed you how they turned a human into a chicken. Right in your face. They showed you how they turn a human into a chicken, and they sell it to you to eat. You see? So this is how the high level witchcraft and sorcery. So they have to show you this thing. So even the ad, the KFC ad, where they show you how they feed you humans, and then you might just look at it, oh, it's just art, or whatever excuse you come up with, right? Well, to them, we've told you what we're doing, and then now your blood is off of our hands. That's that revelation method. So now they've told you what it is they're doing. So now you not doing anything about it, it means you're okay with it. With their priests out of the midst of the idolatrous crew, and the parents that killed with their own hands souls destitute of help. So you have parents that sacrifice their own children, right? If they don't like physically sacrifice them, like unalive them, they sacrifice them by changing their genders. And it's all throughout Hollywood. All the Hollywood actors and actresses, they all have trans children. It's like a staple. It's like you got to do that, right? Every single one of them, they'll have that trans child somewhere. So this is how the parents that kill their own seeds with their own hands, souls destitute of help. In other words, these children, they have no choice. Nothing they can do about it. You see, their own children, their own parents did that to them. You understand? So the Bible is explaining away everything that is happening in our world, in our present time. Why? Because it happened in the old time. It says that the land which thou esteemest above all other might receive a worthy colony of the Most High's children. So that was why the old heathens that were in the Holy Land, they were cast out of the Holy Land because of what they were doing. So imagine how America is about to be cast out as a whole, because America is doing the same thing right now. Even worse. See, even worse. So let's get another scripture. This is the book of Nahum, the 3rd chapter, from the 1st verse. It says, "Woe to the bloody city! It is full of lies and robbery, and the prey departed not." So in hindsight, in our present world right now, guess what? This is America. It is describing America. America is that bloody city. That's where children come up missing. That's where people die like it's nothing. It's full of lies and robbery. You're being lied to on a daily basis like it's nothing. You're being robbed like it's nothing, to the point where you will own nothing and be happy. And the prey departed not. Who are the prey? Well, the prey is the biblical Israelites, the true biblical Israelites, not the imposters, right? Because they are prey to the hands of the wicked. It goes on to say, let's jump down to the third verse. It says, because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcrafts. Right there is letting you know that well-favored harlot, like if you read in the book of Revelations, it talks about the whore that sits on the beast, which is America. That's what it is. America is that well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcraft, where all these satanic practices is being pushed out through the rest of the world, through their media, movies, songs, you name it. That selleth, that's what it says, that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcrafts. So you're being bombarded with all these ritualistic practices. And in some cases, you partake in it, whether it's by dancing or singing along and chanting all these words. You might not really understand what it is. You become a willing participant to all this witchcraft and ritualistic practices. It goes on to say, behold, I'm against thee, saith the Lord of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face. See, that's why America is being exposed for the whore that it is. You know, America for a long time has pretended to be a God-fearing nation. Now it's being exposed as it is far from being a God-fearing nation. As a matter of fact, it's nothing but a Freemasonic, Illuminati, and the whole occultic practices of a nation. America is being exposed for the real whore that it is, for the real witchcraft that is being done in the nation. So then I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame, and I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock. Is it not happening to America right now? Everybody is pointing fingers at America and seeing America for what it is, and understanding that this America is a very vile nation, a very vile country, with vile people ruling over it. That's what it is. You see, it's what we have. It's what we have. Let's finish out here in the book of Isaiah, the 47th chapter and the 12th verse. It goes on to say, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries. You see that? This is going into America again, and the practices has been done in America. See? So wherein thou hast labored from thy youth, if so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. So this is like the Most High mocking the wicked elites, telling them, do what you do on the left-hand side, sacrifice your children, do all this ritualistic, satanic Satanism practices that you do on a daily basis. Go ahead and do that and see if it's going to save you from what I'm about to do to you. You see, it goes on to say the 13th verse, thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things thou shalt come upon thee. So the Most High is letting them know, is taunting them, the wicked elites. Go in there and do what you do. Call on your demons and things like that you call on. Call on your priests on the left-hand side, right? Call on them. Your stargazers, your monthly prognosticators. Do what you got to do. Sacrifice your children. Do what you got to do. See if it's going to help you for what I'm about to do to you. Behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. So Messiah is about to jack the wicked elites up, and in turn, by doing so, jack the whole of America up. So thus shall they be unto thee with whom thou hast labored, even thy merchants from thy youth, They shall wander every one to his quarter. None shall save thee. So the ones, because America is a consumer nation. So all these other nations that buy America consume their goods, right? America buy everything that it imports, sells, right? None of them is going to be able to save you. All your allies won't be able to save you. Nobody will be able to save you from what Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai is about to do to you. Beginning with the wicked elite, the top 1%. You see? Yeah, we ended there. Hopefully be edified by that. And I say all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha HaKodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. See you next time, Lord willing. Shalom. Shalom.